So the final thing I want to talk about for the scripts part is including third-party JavaScript plugins into your website. So to do that, normally what you would do is, especially if you're using a famous plugin like jQuery, you'll find it on NPM. So NPM install jQuery, and then this time we'll use --save. And the difference is between --save and --save-dev. --save, use it when you are installing plugins that you will use in your website, in your actual website. Save-dev, however, use it when you are installing something that you will use during development, like Gulp. Alright, so let's install jQuery. And I mistyped install. So now we installed jQuery, and in our package .json file, now you will have it in a different key dependencies rather than dev dependencies. So as you know now, any npm package that we install, it goes to the node modules folder. So you can search here for jQuery. So here it is. So you can open it, and in this directory you'll find your jQuery source. Right, so you might think, okay, I'm gonna go to the enqueue assets and duplicate this file, and then here I'm gonna add node modules, jQuery, etc. Okay, but it's completely wrong. You shouldn't ever rely on the node modules folder to exist in production. Node modules folder is only used during development. So what we can do is actually we can go to our entry point, our bundle, and import whatever libraries we want here. So import, and when we import from node modules, we don't have to write the complete path node modules. We just type the library name, so jQuery. So let's save that and run gulp scripts. And as you can see, it's 1.1 megabyte file now, which is big, and that's because we include the jQuery library inside of it. So if we go to dist and bundle, you'll actually have the jQuery library inside of here, and the bundle file is the file that we will eventually include in the enqueue scripts. Alright, so you don't have to actually include it from the node modules files, from the node modules folder. We include everything we need in just one single file, and enqueue this one single file. Okay. Some plugins, however, are actually included in WordPress core. So let's go to the WP enqueue script documentation, WordPress documentation, and you'll find a table of all included JavaScript plugins. So whenever you include a JavaScript plugin to your website, make sure first if it's already included in WordPress core, and if so, you can check that table and check the handle here and include it using WP enqueue scripts. So actually jQuery is an exception here. We're not included through NPM. It's an actual requirement in WordPress and websites like ThemeForest to never include your own jQuery version, or actually any plugin that is actually included in the WordPress core. You should, however, include it using WP enqueue script. So if we type here WP enqueue script, and the handle this time would be jQuery, and we won't add any other parameters. jQuery is an already existing handle in WordPress. Let's see in the browser now, refresh and view the source. And let's search for jQuery. And as you can see, we are now adding the jQuery version included in WP includes folder, which is the WordPress core. So this is the only way we should include plugins like jQuery. And the reason for that is that if every theme developer and plugin developer included their own version of jQuery, you might end up with a website that contains multiple jQuery versions, and that may cause problems. So if a theme developer like us used enqueue scripts in jQuery, and then maybe a plugin developer used the same line, WordPress will now, from the handle, the unique handle, figure out that we should load jQuery only once. And that's the use of the handle, and that's why it should be unique. So the bottom line is, never do something like that, like maybe create a new handle and then put a jQuery CDN link here and load another jQuery version other than the one included with WordPress. Another way to include jQuery is actually to put it as a dependency for our script. So in the array of dependencies here, I can put jQuery, and let's refresh the source, and we still have it. WordPress will make sure that any dependencies for any script that we load is loaded before that script, so we can use it inside the script. So let's go now to bundle, and let's comment this line and run Gulp scripts again. And this way we should have the WordPress jQuery, and to make sure type jQuery in the console, and if it returns something, that means jQuery is loaded. It's a global variable J and a capital Q query. So what if we want to use like $sign in our bundle? So let's try now and create a jQuery event handler with a $sign like you are used to on the body, for example, and click, and then any function. And let's try and compile this and reload it. And $sign is not a function. If we use jQuery, however, forgot to compile. We have no errors, and if we click on the body, we get the alert. So what if we want to use $sign? One way is that you can define a new constant here, $sign, and assign it to the jQuery global variable. So now we can use the $sign and compile and refresh, and it's still working. Another way, if you want to use import statements, so you want to import $sign from jQuery. So this way we'll import the jQuery library into the bundle like we did the first time, and we don't need that. We don't need to include the jQuery from the node modules. We needed just to find a global jQuery object and assign it to $sign. So Webpack has a way to do that. In the Gulp file, let's add a new option in the Webpack. It's called externals, and use that when you want to add in external library as a dependency. And by external library, I mean a library loaded using a script tag rather than installed using NPM. So type the library name and the global variable that you want to import. So in our case, jQuery with a capital Q. So now this way, when we compile, our bundle.js will not actually import the jQuery from the node modules, but it will rather search for a global variable jQuery and assign it to the $sign. So let's compile, and we have an error. Okay, so in the Gulp file, it's externals and not external. And let's compile. And as you can see, the bundle is still small, which means jQuery is not there. And if we refresh, it's still working, and we are using the $sign. We're still using the $sign. So let's summarize what we've done. Whenever you want to include a third-party JavaScript library or plugin, first go to this page, the WP script documentation page, and make sure it's not included in WordPress. Alright, if it's not included, install it using NPM and then import it in your file, in your bundle file. Otherwise, just find the handle for the plugin, right, which is this row here, and then include it using the WP script, or maybe as a dependency like we did here. And if you want to use it as a NPM dependency in your bundle file, like so, using the import statement, just add the in your Gulp file the externals and add your external library. So I hope this makes sense to you. Let's go now to the next task.